I was very young. I was between about 6 or 7, and it went on till I was about 8, 9. It was a member of the family.
I remember everything up until 1:30, and then I can't remember anything. I woke up the next morning and I was in an apartment. There was a strange man in the apartment with me. I didn't know who he was.
They started holding onto my arms and they brought me down a lane just off Leeson Street. Then the three of them, one by one, took turns basically raping me.
It went on for a long time. When I was young, it was the physical abuse. But from about 7, 8, 9, 10, he would have exposed himself to me or made me sit in his lap. And although the memory's sketchy, it's had a huge impact on me.
So when I was missing, they put up on Facebook, "Has anybody seen Fiona?" A lot of people shared it and liked it or whatever, and there's also a few nasty comments saying that I probably went off with a lad or that like we were overreacting. But the fact that that wasn't me and that's what I felt I was being perceived as really did hurt me.
I withdrew. I wouldn't go out and play, so I would be climbing up the stairs and I would get terrible panic attacks. I didn't know they were at the time. I couldn't breathe, pains in my chest, terrible fear.
I started getting really, it's weird to describe this. I'd be walking up a street and if I seen a man, I'd think he's going to attack me, and I'd be there preparing, like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to get out of this situation? Be bawling my eyes out, walking to the rink every day. It was crazy, and I knew it was irrational, but to me that fear was so real.
Didn't even really know how to process what had happened, how to even make myself realise that what had happened was real. I was trying to just push it to the back of my mind like it was a bad nightmare.
The effect was terrible guilt and shame. When I was a teenager, I used to drink too much, and then I would kind of sport out that this happened, and nobody would kind of acknowledge it. I used to feel like kind of nobody understood me and quite isolated.
I've had multiple girls say, well, if it did happen to you, you wouldn't talk about it. And it's so like, you just cannot win.
I was just drinking a lot, I was doing a lot of drugs. My way of coping, I suppose, not a good way. I was just trying to numb the pain.
I was so angry as well. Like, the only person I really had to talk to was my mum. And the way I lashed out at her, the way I was so I just let every single emotion out, and I don't know how she put up with me.
Later on, when I was starting to become active sexually, it had a huge effect on that. I always felt it was kind of dirty and, all of that stuff. It wasn't kind of pleasurable.
It was like someone had taken something from me that they had no right to take.
Keeping a secret is the worst thing. Holding the secret is more draining and damaging than the acts.
I just kind of pushed what had happened out of my mind. I can't comprehend how I dealt with feeling that sad all the time. It's crazy. Like, I cried every single day.
And then I decided that I would go into therapy because the profession that I had chosen. And then it all started to get much better and everything started to become really clear. But that took a while.
When I went into John of God's, it's a psychiatric unit, and it helped me so much. Between the CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, and SSRIs, so I take sertraline, and it honestly, my quality of life is so much better now. Sitting there and having time to ponder over everything that you've been through and realise that, okay, this did happen, but it doesn't have to define me or where my life's going.
I think the big stigma as well, like the reason why I think I was so afraid to tell people, is that when you tell people, people look at you like you are a victim. You're not a victim, you're also a survivor. This horrible thing has happened to you, but you've come out the other side.
Understanding human beings and how they function and how they react and their resilience and all that really helped me to understand myself. And I think I had an incredible therapist who just used what I loved, like films. The films that I loved very much helped me to understand myself, and they helped me to go into a fantasy land that I loved.
we were able to recognise a certain feeling in ourselves and then sort of quantify it as like, okay, this is irrational, this isn't, and like how we can turn negative thoughts into more like smaller manageable pieces. A lot of people might see it as like common sense, but when you're in like a really negative mindset, you kind of do need to go back to basics, and it did help a lot.
Expression was really, really, really important. Talking, exploring the world, thinking about the world. Trying not to see the world as being a really kind of very dark place, seeing it as being, you know, yeah, there's darkness, but there's also such beauty and love.
I think there's a bit of a difference between accepting something and resigning to something. So I guess I'm trying to be more accepting rather than saying, oh well, for me, like.
I luckily started surrounding myself with very positive people, and that kind of just made me look at situations in life as like a more glass half full than glass half empty kind of way. I was being more optimistic.
It sounds really silly, but like just spending time with my dog has been the best thing ever. My mom was absolutely amazing, and just living life and not thinking about it. Like, it does not have to define you. Recovery to me is overcoming the negative aspects of what happened to you while still accepting that it did.
I know this is a very odd thing to say. You know, shit happens in your life. But really it is the measure of the person. I think that how you approach it eventually. You know, beginning to love yourself and love your body. And that was absolutely nothing to do with you that this happened. But it seems more possible now because society is changing, and actually I feel now that it's so much more supportive to the victim, whereas long ago for me it wasn't, but it is now. So that's really encouraging about society, isn't it? It's really, really encouraging.